Hello, Sci-Fi fans. This is Rob Kaczynski from Section 31, and you're listening to the Sci-Fi Diner podcast.
Welcome to the Sci-Fi Diner podcast. I'm one of your hosts, Scott Herzog.
And good evening, I am Miles P. McLaughlin.
And I'm Dave Sellers.
And it's boys' night at the diner. Jen's not here to contain us. No. So it's and M's not here, and she hasn't been here for a while. But it's just us guys.
Who?
Just it's my M. Who? Yeah, exactly.
Who's that?
Yeah, exactly.
We love you, Em.
Yeah, she pops into our chat every so often, but doesn't really make it here. That's fine. That's absolutely fine. Well, we're going to start with a little bit of, we asked you to give us your thoughts about Section 31, and I'm interested to hear what this feedback is that was sent in, and Dave, you're going to read that for us. And then Miles, I think we maybe could talk a little bit, tie that into the panel we saw the one guy from Section 31 talk about, and just some thoughts about that.
Yes, we got to have a little interaction with Mr. Rob Kaczynski. He played Zeph in Section 31.
Yeah, absolutely. So, all right. So, Dave, why don't you take it away? Let us hear from that listener feedback.
Well, this comes in from our friend Ken. He says, for all the years
Ken.
For all the years that he's listened to us, he said, I never felt the need to comment on a movie or series. After my wife and I watched Section 31, I told my wife this was okay as a Mission Impossible set in the future, but it's not part of Star Trek. Even as Section 31, I don't remember them traveling in time at all, let alone to fix something that went wrong. I can only say it was a long way home, and they should have taken a right in Albuquerque. Thanks for all the shows. Thanks for all the shows and interview you do. So thanks, Ken. We appreciate your feedback and encourage everyone else out there to keep it coming.
Yeah, absolutely. So, Dave, what were your thoughts about that?
About that email?
Yeah.
Oh, he's dead on. I mean, I haven't seen many from comments in to different Facebook posts on social media to reviews and all that stuff. I haven't seen this movie being panned in a very good light. It seems to be a pretty universal reaction that, it was a good movie, but Star Trek wise, not good. And as Ken said, you're right. They should have taken a right in Albuquerque. I like that.
Yeah. Miles, what are your thoughts about Ken's feedback here?
I thought his review was actually fairly kind. I mean, it was not...
Okay.
I mean, ours was rather, scathing, I would think. And
right.
I've heard even worse reviews of this. So, I thought Ken was fairly kind in his review. He kept it. There are many places you could go with your criticisms of Section 31, and many people have already done it. He chose to, stick to the high road and just make a right at Albuquerque.
Attaboy, Ken.
Yeah.
Way to keep it classy.
That's it.
So I do have another review that came in, and I didn't think about it till you were sharing your review, Dave. This came in from, remember the student I have who is named after Ben Sisko?
Yes.
Yeah. So his father and I talked to parents' night because I'm an English teacher, and I have this kid in class, phenomenal. He comes to my room just staring at my wall all the time because I have a lot of Star Trek and Star Wars stuff all over, but huge Star Trek family, right? The entire family is. So I said, as I was talking about our review of Section 31 and how much you said, he goes, is it worse than Star Trek 5? I'm like, pretty close, right? So, but this is his review of it. So this is John. I don't even know if you listen to the podcast, but this is your review of it. And he said, Scott, you said to write and share my opinion after we watched Section 31. For what it's worth, I haven't watched any reviews or read any material about it before or after. So this is a uncontaminated review, uncontaminated perspective, he said. Maybe it's bad, actually bad, and intentionally so, because making new Star Trek has gotten expensive, and Paramount wants Section 31 to take down Starfleet with them, a la Dominion War Part 60.2, The Cure. But we can't have that happen. So instead of waiting a few months to see if Paramount cuts more good Trek, they're having to go back in the past and fix and risk a grandfather paradox in the process. Let's explore some alternative thinking now in the Prime timeline. Do you recall when I asked if it was like Tenet, where you have to watch it a few times before you get it? I think I was onto something there. Most Trekkies love Lower Decks because it builds off the inside jokes of Trek, rewarding us for having watched all the previous series. It's like an ode to the franchise, a meta ode, if that's a thing. Is it a thing? I'm making it a thing. It's a thing now anyway. Section 31 is the same thing, but true to that organization, it's more subversive. It's like an ode to everything in Trek that kind of sucked. For example, let's introduce a Deltan and then kill her off before the second act really starts, but then let's go one step further and not bring her up again. And then 2, let's reveal a character that's an augment because we haven't used that reason in a couple years. Number 3, let's make Terrans as horribly bad and unredeemable as possible, cold killing everyone close to them, but this time is Giorgio's family, and we'll do it in the opening scene, and then we'll show later that she isn't so bad and does have a heart, and she's killing someone else close to her who hates her to the core, but doesn't though. Number 4, let's bring in Rachel Garrett, who we know will be captain of the Enterprise C someday because of yesterday's Enterprise, but we'll bring her in as a lieutenant, so build a backstory for her, and then we won't, because having Starfleet Overseer for Section 31 team doesn't even make sense in the Mirror Universe. Number 5, expositions and plot armor and MacGuffins. Oh my. And whom shall we select as our lead for this thing? Why, a woman who's just won the Best Actress, of course, spared no expense. And first, all of this nonsense defied logic. It was like sand, and I don't like sand. And of course, rough and irritating, and it gets everywhere. Until the moment where something clicked, and the movie bloomed into something beautiful, like a Sumerian sunset on a Rysian beach. Are you ready for it? And then he goes on. All right, this is a little bit longer. Section 31 is a Star Trek camp gone digital and turned up to 11. Consider Con Air. It had plenty of Hollywood A-listers, just off the top of my head. Nick Cage, John Malkovich, Vic Rimes, Danny Trejo, John Cusack, Dave Chappelle, Steve Buscemi, Cole Meany. But tell me what genre it is. And it's not quite dramatic or action or even comedy. It's just mostly ridiculous. Likewise, a large part of the Star Wars movies. See also, and then he has a couple links here. Once you start viewing 31 in that light, I think it becomes a fun movie, and we can go back to having conversations about it as a proper work of art instead of this generation's 5 or 10. Therefore, my verdict is it's camp. So it's a huge victory for the good guys, maybe even a turning point for the whole entire war on production budget. So I watched, I cringed, I paused the movie to comment to it about my family. I'm an accessory to the movie critics, but the most damning thing of all is I think I can live with it. And if I had to do it all over again, I would. Garrick was right about one thing. A guilty conscience is a small price to pay for the safety of the franchise. So I will learn to live with it because I can live with it. I can live with it. And yes, my oldest son is named after my favorite captain. What do you think of it? Regards, John.
Okay, number 1, major hat tip, big helmet sticker for you, sir, with the Cisco quote in the end there. Absolutely love it. Respect. Number 2, yeah, awesome. You brought up the Rachel Garrett part. Okay, this is one of those things that irritated the crap out of me, because if that is the future Captain Rachel Garrett, that would mean when she takes command of the Enterprise C, and we see her in that yesterday's Enterprise episode in Next Gen, she's 150 years old. Should be 150 years old at that point.
See, the only thing is, Dave, they never say when this takes place. That's another weakness of this movie is,
Well, but either way, Giorgio is already so old. Like, again, taking a lot of that into account, this has got to be within the Discovery era Kirk 5-year mission timeline.
if they dropped her off like at the same spot she left.
Right. We don't know this.
Well, that's right. She went through that goofy ass wormhole thing, didn't she?
Yeah.
It was the Guardian of Forever.
I forgot about that.
Yeah,
that's right.
We don't know when they dropped her off.
That's a good point. That's a good point. I didn't think of that. My only gripe with that entire analysis, which I truly love, my only gripe is, please never besmirch Con Air. And that magnificent piece of cinematic marvel, brilliance. That was that movie was a cornerstone in my adolescence. Watching it time after time and again because it was always airing on TBS or TNT or some stupid cable channel constantly.
And Carl Meany's in it too.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Always get a good O'Brien run.
Yeah. So his verdict is that this is just camp, and if we review it,
not wrong.
and if we view it in the lens of camp, maybe we can convince ourselves that as a camp film, it's not bad.
Crap! Now I'm not going to be. Now I'm going to have to watch it again through that lens because
you have to let us know if it works, Dave.
Well, again, I got to do that. There's only so much punishment I'm willing to do.
Yeah,
myself.
slit wrists or something like that. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Well, Miles, I thought that we heard who was it? We heard at the con. It was
his name is Rob Kaczynski.
Rob Kaczynski. I want to say Robert Zemeckis all the time. I know that's not right. But Rob Kaczynski, when we heard him speak at the con, first of all, he wouldn't do an interview with us because he's still under contract with Paramount, and all interviews have to get run through Paramount right now. So we were. So he was like not we yeah. So he wasn't. It was probably a good thing because we really trashed that review, but it's fine. We got him to read a bumper for us, and I'll throw that somewhere here.
Yeah, and he posted a picture.
We got a picture with him, right? But I think when we saw him speak, Miles, it was a little bit enlightening because it said, in order to be considered a TV movie, it had to be under like an hour and 35 minutes. What is it?
95 minutes.
It had to be 95 minutes, no more. So in hour 35, and because of that, there's 20 minutes of this movie that was left in the cutting room floor, and it included scenes that clarified actions that he had, and even some of the more Star Trek stuff was kind of left on the floor because they were trying to make this story. So he heard the naysayers, but he's saying, I hope someday we get a director's cut for this. That doesn't redeem what we got, but if we get a director's cut, maybe it'll make a little bit more sense. And that was kind of his take on it, because this guy is a huge Trekkie. Like he has his love of Treks. But
yeah, I think it was more than 20 minutes of deleted footage.
Yeah.
So if they released this with a director's cut, I would watch it again and look, I
maybe reevaluate it. Yeah.
Yeah, reevaluate it. I mean, and it's a joy to meet this guy. I thought he was a super nice guy, but he knows the script backwards and forwards and backwards. It's like he wrote it. I would encourage listeners, if you don't listen to Katie Sackhoff's podcast, go listen to that. She interviewed Rob Kaczynski, and before the movie came out, so it was before all the negative reviews came out. So he was super pumped about it. He is a super fan. He is one of us. Not just Star Trek, Star Wars, Battlestar Galactica, other projects he's done. He's a super fan, and so I feel bad that this movie did not succeed because he's a super nice guy. and he gets it.
And to be fair, like, the movie succeeding or failing has nothing to do with him as an actor.
Correct.
And it not, I mean,
Right.
he's not the one making the call about what they're cutting or not cutting. And really, it came down to a financial decision. He said, the reason they said 95 minutes, because if it was longer than that, then it would had to be a feature film, and that means paying the actors a crap load more money. And it really became a financial decision, is what killed this. So
yeah,
and maybe it was killed anyways because maybe the story was bad, but we don't even get a chance to make a judgment call in the authentic script because he had to pare it down and cut out and weed stuff out. And so why is he running through that wall? We don't know. He just kind of ran through that wall.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So that was interesting to find out that there's a lot of deleted footage that might have made this film better and explained some things. But I don't know. I mean, I just don't think the powers that be, whoever suggested this, just really has their hand on the pulse of what Star Trek fans want. I don't think most fans wanted a Section 31 movie. They probably wanted something in the Legacy series or something.
I'm gonna be honest. When we heard rumors of a Section 31, I was intrigued because I was intrigued with this underbelly of Star Trek that you don't ever really know a heck of a lot about, and rightly so, right? They're the people that do the work in the dark, and so the idea intrigued me. But it certainly doesn't feel very Star Trek, right? And this is probably the challenge when you deal with the underbelly of a society or the group that does the dirty work. It's not going to feel. This is not going to be your righteous Picard or Janeway or Cisco trying to do the moral right thing. You're doing the dirty work, and that means you do stuff that's immoral. And so it does fly in the face of what you expect out of Star Trek. And I think, honestly, perhaps that's a little bit why people had some problems with Discovery, because the captaincy became a little bit morally ambivalent and it became problematic.
Yeah, definitely. And why season 3 of Picard was the best one. I don't think anybody's going to disagree about that too much. And why most fans love Strange New Worlds, because it's going back to the original series era and that era of exploration, and Star Trek fans want what they want, and maybe it's a little familiar, but this is what they want out of their Star Trek.
Yeah.
Yep.
Well, thank you, John, and thank you, Ken, for writing in. And any of you else have thoughts out there, we would love to hear from you. And we'll share it and we'll talk about it. And we seem to be in agreement with most of what people are saying here. So, again, you can email us at the sci-fi diner podcast at gmail.com or message us on Facebook, our Instagram, or wherever the Sci-Fi Diner can be found.
And if you disagree with us, please share it, because
we need someone that says, we want to know why we're wrong. Yep.
Oh, and I would love to hear a dissenting opinion.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm surprised. I'm actually surprised that Star Trek fans are kind of united on this, because 5 Star Trek fans in one room all have 5 different opinions. So,
hey, it is a great time all together. You being united on every front. This is great.
Yeah. All right. Well, we want to talk a little bit about our time at Farpoint. Miles and I had a chance just a week and a half ago to run down to Maryland and hang out at Farpoint a little bit. And we are going to talk about it, but we would not arguably have been at Farpoint our shore leave convention if it not were for the man that we're going to talk about here in just a second. If you followed the Sci-Fi Diner for a long time, you know that every year for the past 13, 14 years, we've had Mike Schilling on. Mike Schilling is the head of publicity for shore leave, and he's the reason really that we began to interview celebrity guests and bring those interviews to you as we chat to these people and realize they're just humans like you and me. And it was because of Mike Schilling that happened. Well, Miles, what did we find out 2 weeks ago that kind of really knocked our socks off?
Yeah, so we got some very sad news that the guy who's been like our liaison for shore leave suddenly passed away. And if you've been a listener for any length of time, you know he would come on our show once a year. We would talk about shore leave, talk about what's going on, just talking about things in science fiction fandom. And this is a man who loved classic Star Trek, loved other things sci-fi, but loved shore leave and the time to get together with like-minded people and just enjoy what we love. And um, it was hurtful because he was just the sweetest, gentle soul of a man. I mean,
Yeah.
Just a super nice guy, and you know, and just it's a loss. It was sometimes you have friends you only see a couple times a year, but you still love them, and you're always looking forward to when you can see them, and you talk on social media, and so it was this was I think Scott, you said, I think it was a gut punch when you found out that he had passed.
It was just unexpected. Like, he's 57 years old, right?
Yeah.
He has a family. In fact, the thing that struck me about Mike Schilling, yes, he was an absolute fan, a diehard Trekkie, and he had his opinions on everything. And we would joke about in the podcast, when you would bring him onto the podcast, you just have to ask one question and he could talk. It was we had to say very little, and he loved the convention scene for all the friends he met. But the thing above all of that that has stood out to me through the years about Mike was the thing that was more important to him than Star Trek fandom and the conventions was his family. Um, so many times I would say, "Hey, we're recording Tuesday night. Can you do it?" He says, "No, I got to be there for my son." He had a son that was struggling with something at the time. And he goes, "Can we record some time during the day?" And we would work it out. But he always prioritized his family, his son, his wife, above doing an interview, above watching something science fiction. There's times I would talk to him, he said, "I haven't watched it yet. I've been spending some time with my son." Clearly family was more important to him than the stuff that we podcast about. And I think that's one of the things that always impressed me about him.
I didn't get to know him as well as you guys have over the years, but even in my time with the show here and getting to know him at the cons, he was one guy that it didn't matter how busy he was running around at the con. He always found us and made sure that we were having a good time, made sure everything was going well, that chatted with us. I mean, this past year was probably the longest conversation I ever had with him, and we were in line next to each other for a for one of the photo ops with someone. I forget who it was. And we just stood there and chatted about Star Trek for a good 20-25 minutes while we were waiting in line. I mean, it was really, really nice. And he knew me by name. I mean, he met me a handful of times, maybe once a year for a couple of years. Knew me by name. Always asked how everybody was doing. He was truly one of the guys that made the cons like this special.
Right.
Like I said, I've been to big cons. I've been to these small ones, and the biggest charm about a place like Shore Leave, even Farpoint, is the feeling of community there, where you're not just another number waiting in a line to meet somebody and then moving to another line to wait again. No, this is an event, like, where we've all come together. And Mike was one of those great guys that made sure that we were there, make sure we're having fun, that we're getting to see things and talk to people, and really made you feel welcome in a
Yeah,
place like
I
that.
still remember like we'd be at
It's-
panels. Remember when the Okudas were there?
oh yeah.
And I remember like he came in. He came into our panel. We were doing a live panel, and he would came in there and sit. And he participated in the conversation as we were doing our live show. So yeah, he will be missed. He'll be surely will not be the same. Farpoint was not the same because he would often show up at Farpoint, and he will be missed. So
Yeah, he was just an all-around good guy, a great human being, for all the reasons both of you said. And you know, it's just it's a loss to both Shore Leave and Farpoint, as well as his family, who like you said, he prioritized above everything else. And yeah, I'm gonna miss him. I'm gonna miss Mike.
yep. So warp speed to you, buddy, in your next journey. How do you follow that up?
Yeah.
Well, we could talk about something that he would have been very proud to talk about, and that is a Farpoint itself.
Yes.
Yeah, because he loved the cons, he loved the community of the con, and perhaps when Miles, I don't know what you thought about. I felt like Farpoint felt a bit small to me this year.
It seemed lightly attended.
Lightly attended. I think there were a couple reasons. I don't think it was necessarily because of Farpoint. We had a huge storm that was predicted to come in that day. In fact, we only stayed half the day. We were out there by 3:00, canceled the panel. We just all sorts of things because it was just we were going to get ice, and we did. It was a nightmare that evening, right, Dave? You know well,
Oh yeah.
because Dave's a custodian and he has to deal with that crap at the school that we work at. But so this had been, but the thing that did strike me about Farpoint, despite it being small, is that the people there they were the diehards. They were the people that were there because it was family for them, right? They connected. The authors, Crazy 8 Press, they were just connecting with each other and networking in a way that's a little bit lighter that they may not be able to do. And so it was neat.
Yeah,
It was neat to talk to Friedman, to Glenn Hellman. It was, Aaron Rosenberg. It was just, and Mary Fan. It was just great.
And that's what it was for me. It was more. The celebrity guests was fun. The dealers' rooms was fun, but it just the people that you and I have gotten to know over the years. My favorite dealer's room table. I get my magnets from her. I'll get some fudge and some other things, and I see her at all the cons, and so we make a point to say hi, give each other a hug, and just talk and stuff, and I ask her about about what kind of magnets can you get for next time, and she's trying to get magnets for because like kind of geared towards the guests as far as what popular genres, and so she tries to get those kind of magnets, which are the kind you put on your refrigerator.
Yeah. Go ahead.
Oh, just so and also the authors, Michael Jan Friedman, Keith DeCanado, and several others that you and I have gotten to know over the years. Joe Colton, cosplayer. She first time she led a couple panels, and so I got a chance to connect with her again.
Yeah.
So that's what it was a lot for me, is just seeing some old friends that I don't get to see as often as I like.
And the fact that it was lightly attended, actually, mid Saturday afternoon, we're having a 20-minute conversation with General Grievous and Jen Orso in the middle of the signing area, and then we have a half an hour conversation with Bonnie Gordon. I mean, that's again because it was lightly attended, and there were panels going on, I guess, that people cared about. It's not that people didn't care about the guests, but we were able to have time because of it being lightly attended. So, but But yeah,
That makes it fun.
it is. It does. I mean, the question is, when does that become not worth it for Farpoint? I think from the practical end of things, because they need people to come in there, to bring in the fans, and that is a good question. So
Yeah, I mean, they got to bring enough money in for that. The dealers have to, be able to sell a certain amount of their items to make it profitable for them, and the authors, they want to, bring exposure to the books that they've written and their new projects and everything.
yeah, absolutely. Well, speaking about Farpoint, we had a chance, as I mentioned, to actually, I guess, sit down, talk to Bonnie Gordon for almost a half an hour. It was a pretty long interview, wasn't it, Miles?
It was, and she's one of those people, probably like us, that you don't have to ask much. She's a fangirl, so she's a fan of things, but she's also, she's a super fan, but she's a tremendous entertainer on stage too.
Oh, absolutely. Great singer.
Great singer, great entertainer. She's taking popular music and making them
nerdy,
sci-fi, related. She did a great song about the Princess Bride. Of course, there's some good Star Trek and Star Wars songs in there too as well. But she's taking pop songs that we all know and love, and then I guess kind of doing a Weird Al Yankovic on those songs. But she has a very entertaining show. So if she's at a con, you gotta go see her show, and you gotta meet her too, because she's just lovely. She is a lovely human being. Yeah.
And maybe most importantly, because we haven't mentioned it, she is the voice of the computer in Prodigy, as well as many other things.
That's her claim to fame. Yes.
Yeah. So she's voiced many of the other smaller bits in that show as well, but she is the voice of the computer. So.
Mm-hmm. And if you haven't seen season 2 of Star Trek Prodigy, listeners, you gotta go see it. They do a good job. So if you're a fan of Voyager, I call it season 8 of Voyager, because a lot of Voyager characters.
It's on Netflix, right? Is that where it's at?
Correct.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, very good. Well, without further ado, here's our interview with Bonnie Gordon.
Right here. Do you need me to get close? Hello? Check 1, 2. I'm pretty loud. Hello. Welcome. Hello. Welcome to Sci-Fi Diner Podcast. After Dark.
Sci-Fi fans, we're at Farpoint 2025, and we're hanging out with the lovely Ms. Bonnie Gordon. Star Trek fans know and love Ms. Gordon for performing the voice of the ship's computer in 27 episodes of Star Trek Prodigy. Ms. Gordon's IMDb resume is an impressive list of acting and voice acting in many well-known and independent sci-fi, fantasy, and comedy projects. Ms. Gordon, welcome, and thank you for taking time to talk with us in the Sci-Fi Diner Podcast.
Awesome. Thank you for having me.
See this in the podcast, she's making all sorts of facial
I'm like,
expressions.
oh,
Very
yay.
animated.
I know. Fun fact, though, a lot of people don't know this. I voiced 12 different characters on Star Trek Prodigy. So yeah, in fact, I didn't even know that until I looked. Well, I mean, I know I voiced, other. I was like, I'm thinking like 6 or 7, and then I look on IMDb and I'm like, oh no, I did 12. I mean, some of them were very small, like characters like someone. What's it called? A Romulan that just gets like punched and dies off a cliff or something. Like very quickly. Right. Just getting like an falling down. Yeah, but like Jillian the Whale in season 2. I played the Bernarianson that broke Janeway out of the brig in season 1. I play a couple of bridge officers throughout the series, as well as all kinds of little random stuff. Exactly. They were like, "Oh, Bonnie's here. Let's get her."
Let's get her through this.
Oh, we still have Bonnie for another 30 minutes. Let's get her. Let's get her as much as we can. So, it's great.
As a part of that, so it sounds like you say it was like an hourly thing, and they use whatever they could.
No, not necessarily. They just would, when they would bring me in, for the computer, there's only so many lines that they would need me. It wasn't like an hourly thing. It was by the character, but at the same time, they would be like, well, we might as well use Bonnie because she can, yeah, and she can do different voices, so might as well take advantage of that. So it was great.
So tell me, and I think you may have told us before, but can you just recount a little bit, how did you get involved in voicing Star Trek?
Oh my gosh. Well, I've been doing voiceovers for quite a while, mostly video games and some cartoons here and there.
Did you do video games of Star Trek?
I wish. No, I'm mostly known for Street Fighter, Mega Man, Fire Emblem, Code Vein. So a lot of games that people are familiar with coming in from overseas that need like English voices, and like Nintendo, Capcom, that type of thing. So whenever I saw that there was an animated series being made that was Star Trek, I immediately pulled every string I could just to get an audition. Because at the time, I didn't have a voiceover agent. I was booking everything myself on the side. And I again, was trying any and every route I could and string to pull. Got an audition for Gwen, the lead female character of the show, and made it all the way to the callbacks and was one of the voices they were considering for Gwen, which was really great. But at the time, the executives thought that they kind of needed like a bigger name to play that role, so they were hesitant to hire me as that part. But I did get brought in by the creators to do the scratch voice of Gwen. And for those of you unfamiliar with the voiceover lingo, scratch is basically, while the animators are working on the storyboards and finalizing the animation, they'll have actors reading the lines of the characters, but not the actual actors. So they had me come in and I did the scratch voice for Gwen. I did the scratch voice for Janeway. I was doing a lot of the different characters scratch. And while they were using me for so many different things, the Hagemans, the creators of the show, were so wonderful and generous. They were like, "Don't worry, we're gonna find a part for you. We're gonna find a way for you to stay permanently in this project."
They obviously liked your demeanor and work.
Either that, or like they were like, "We're not gonna get rid of her easily because she's hiding in the bushes." We're not gonna like. She's obviously like.
Throw a phone.
Yeah, I'm literally like in Starfleet uniform, like, "Hi, like please use me," showing up in my little space boots. So they were so kind, and they were like, "We're gonna find some roles for you." So that's how I ended up getting the audition for things like the ship computer and different, smaller roles that they were trying to fill throughout the series. And it was just really, it was just so heartwarming to be a part of this project because, I have a 4-year-old nephew and a little baby niece that was just born, and a niece a step niece that's 6. And I'm a big believer in I love kids, and a big believer in children's education and children's entertainment. So to be a part of the show that is for them, that is Star Trek, is just such a joy, especially when I get to do these conventions and I see the fans that are kids, like that come up to me and they get so excited. And then they don't even understand what I do or who I am or what. They just know I'm involved in some way, and they just get excited when they see like a picture of Murph at my table. They're like, "It's Murph." I'm like, okay. So it's just see that they're all dressed up in their costumes and their cosplay, and we are literally raising the next generation. No pun intended.
Right.
No Trek pun intended. But it's like the next generation of Trekkies and sci-fi fans, and what's going to probably lead us into what could be the Roddenberry vision of what a Starfleet future could be. Like, these kids are the ones that are going to be the ones doing it. So I love that a show like Prodigy exists. Yeah. I could ramble about this all day, so I'll try and stop.
As a 50-something, I love Prodigy. For me, it was geared towards kids, but
Yeah, but it really wasn't. That's what I always try and tell people. Like Trekkies that come to me, like, "Oh, I gave it a shot and I got through a few episodes, but it wasn't really my cup of tea." And I was like, keep watching, because they make the first few episodes to hook the kids, and then they slowly trickle Trek in until it becomes a full-on fledged like Trek show of the highest grade of storytelling. I feel like the Prodigy writers had to pack so much plot and and love into each script, because they only had 22 minutes instead of a full, 45 hour, whatever, of the longer shows. They had to really be smart with their writing and their storytelling. And, season 2 especially, I thought was just, even though I had read a lot of the scripts and, was voicing a lot of the things, I didn't see the full final product till the audience did, till it aired on Netflix. And I was just blown away by what they did with the time travel storyline, and the timey-wimey, wibbly-wobbly paradox plot. I mean, dear goodness me, it was so smart. And bringing back such legacy characters. I mean, spoilers for those who haven't seen it, but obviously Janeway's in it, Chakotay. They bring back the EMH, the doctor, and Picardo's, of course, hysterical in everything he does. And then, again, I don't want to spoil too much. I mean, it's not spoilers if you just look up articles about the show. But
been out for a year too.
They bring back Wesley Crusher in such a beautiful way, and it's such a redemption for not only his character, but for Will Wheaton. Will does such an incredible job of bringing Wesley back to life, and in a new and exciting way as a grown adult and as the traveler. And and he's so whimsical and weird.
I like the Doctor.
It is very Doctor Who. It feels so Doctor Who. Like he's wearing his little sweater, and it's like, oh, it's so Doctor Who. And he's so kind of scatterbrained and all over the place, yet has so much heart. And so I love what they did with Wesley Crusher. When I remember when they told me, like, before the show was coming out, that he was coming, that they were bringing him back, I was so excited, because Wesley, I feel, didn't get as much love as he should. He was such a great character that just kind of got, like, I wouldn't say pooped on, but the fans just kind of like, oh, shut up, Wesley, all that stuff. Yeah, and bringing him back in such an eloquent way, and in such a way that makes the fans happy, and also doesn't like gloss over the fact that a lot of people might not know who Wesley Crusher is. It's just really beautiful, and how it links into Picard, and everything is so beautifully well woven into the other series as well. Sorry, I'm rambling. I love this. Okay.
I love that because we learned so much.
Yeah.
What is it like? So you brought in you're known for voicing the ship's computer.
Sure.
All these others.
Yeah.
What's it like for you? Because when you voice it, at least initially, when you voice it, you don't see what it's going to look like. You just have the lines.
Right.
What's it like for you when you see the final product and hear your voice out of the animation?
It's such a fun feeling, especially when I know if I don't see the final product yet, so I don't know exactly what they're doing. First of all, the animation of Prodigy is so beautiful and so vibrant and vivid that I get so excited when I see all the different, all the characters come to life in such a colorful, vibrant way. And to see, like, the ship flying through space and knowing, like, I'm that ship, that's me. I'm like and when after season 1, spoilers, when the Protostar blows up, everyone's like, oh no, are you out of the job now that you're the voice of the Protostar? And I'm just like, I'm the voice of all of Starfleet. Like, I'm the computer. It's not like each ship has like a personality. Yeah, exactly. So it's one of those things where I was really thrilled to see my voice come out of Voyager A, because I'm a huge Voyager fan. I'm a huge Janeway fan. And the fact that, I got to, they're like, oh yeah, we're going to bring you back and you're going to be the voice of the Voyager computer. And I'm like, yes, I can say I'm actually in Voyager. Literally. Exactly. And what I loved about voicing Jillian the whale in Cetacean Ops was the whale, spoken whale song, like whatever. And the computer was the universal translator and translated her words. What was so fun playing the voice of Jillian the whale was, the whale spoke in whale song, like, and as the universal translator, as the computer, I was the voice by translating the whale. So I came up with the idea, and this is also such a compliment to the Hagemans, because they really allowed us to play and throw ideas out in the recording booth. And as the ship computer, I don't really get to act much, or like I can't improvise or come up with a lot of ideas, because it's a lot of just like unable to comply, access granted. Like there's not much I can do with that. It's like, oh, let me make it sound more angry. Like there's nothing like that. So whenever I was recording these lines, I came up with the idea. I was like, well, Jillian is speaking in whale song. Maybe the universal translator would, yes, it's coming out as a computer voice, but what if we added like a melody to it? So instead of like, you hear Jillian go "Wee" in whale song, and then the computer's like, hello, how are you? So it has like a little bit of a melody to it. So that was my way of like getting to sing in Star Trek. I kept it very, I kept it somewhat not as, what's the word I'm looking for? I try and keep it I didn't make it too like sing-songy, but just enough of a melody to make it different from what you'd hear like the computers say naturally. And so that was so fun for me to add like kind of like almost like a little canon rule that the universal translator could translate that whale song with a melody. So I thought that was really fun to add to the character. And also, fun fact, when, again, I'm so sorry for all these spoilers, but in the episode where there's so many different like little parallel universes and they end up in the mirror universe for a scene, they're hiding in Cetacean Ops, and Jillian, the mirror universe version of Jillian, gives their location away. My favorite line is in that whole episode is Dal going, even the whales are evil. But what's so beautiful about that is if you listen very closely, I say the lines in a slight minor key. Then it's not as pretty as her in the Prime timeline. And the Mirrorverse, she's like, all hail the Terran Empire. It's a little bit more harsher and like minor key. So I really liked that little slight change as well. So yeah. So that is my favorite part of doing these conventions, because the kids, I love kids so much, not in a creepy way. I love children so much. And the fact that I get to be a part of the show that they're watching, and then they come up to me, and I know a lot of that too was, he was in my concert. So even whether it was Prodigy or not, it was more of like, I was singing songs about like Pokemon and things that I know that kid is into. So it's so fun that a lot of my fans are kids. It really makes me excited. Like I'll be at a big convention where all the stars are there and they have these lines, and then I have a table of children like the Pied Piper where I'm like doing funny voices for them, and we're like dancing around and doing things, and they're like, what is going on? Sometimes kids just come to my table and I'm like, where are your parents? And then they'll just keep coming to my table all weekend, which is concerning to me, because I'm like, where are these children's like parental units? Exactly. Yeah, they're just like, go find Bonnie's table, she'll babysit you. And I'm like, wait. Which, well, it's happened. I've had kids just like sitting at my table with me, and I'm like, and they're like, is this your child? I'm like, no, I don't even know this kid's name, but they're just at my table now. I guess I'm watching them. But my favorite thing is having the fans of the kids, especially when I know that these kids are like the next generation of nerds and everything. So they might not be the coolest kids at school. They might be the kids being picked last in PE like I was, that type of thing. To where if I can make them feel special and cool and just like hang out with them for a little bit and just make them like hear a story about them, and they feel like, oh my gosh, they feel important. And if I had someone doing that to me when I was a kid, it would have made such a difference. So I always try and do that. And then I'm just like, hey, these kids, when they get older, they're going to be the ones like, hopefully my career continues and they'll be the ones helping my career along too. They're like, I remember Bonnie, and let's go watch her in this. And then it's building my minions and my future hinge people for when I take over the world. So, but I love the kids. I love it. And so
The adults love you too.
thank you. But little things like signing his like that kid who just came up to my table and wanted me to sign his badge. I'm not going to charge him for that, or like take off his little signature mark for that, because it's like that he, I didn't give him any of my merch. That didn't cost me anything. Honestly, this is a terrible thing to say because I know everyone is like, I do this and people are like, Bonnie, no, you have to survive and pay your rent, and I'm like, but I want to do this for the child. So this is a note to everyone listening. Just make a child bring me something to sign, and I'm a sucker for children. So like, I'll have like a line. I won't sell anything if the children are here.
But the adults need to buy her merch.
Yeah, sneak me some money, but the children don't get charged.
Yeah.
I try not to do that because I love the kids. But yeah. Anywho, I'm pitching my own kid show right now, and I hope to get it on its feet. It's like it takes place like in a magic library and gets kids back into reading and using their imagination, and it's really fun and musical and educational. So that's what I'm currently really working on and trying to pitch to. I also have, for all the people with kids out there, there's an animated feature of Snow White coming out sometime later this spring.
Okay.
That I'm the voice of the evil queen on, and it was a really fun role to play. The villains are always so fun to play. So I do a lot of, oh my, as the evil queen. And she gets to disguise herself as all these different characters through the movie. So it was a lot of fun. So I'm really excited. I don't even know what it looks like or anything. I did the voice. And
Where's it coming out on?
I don't know. I'm thinking it's probably going to be on some kind of streaming platform. It'll be like probably one of those straight to DVDs. I don't think it's going to be released in theaters. I could be wrong. I know nothing. I don't even know what the actual title is. I just know that I'm able to say I worked on a Snow White project.
Right. It's not Disney related?
It's not Disney. No.
Okay.
Not Disney. I would have been paid a lot more if it was Disney. But no, it was great. It was such a fun project to do, and it was a delight to play a villain and
Shows you have range.
yeah, I love playing the wacky characters. I can always play like hello, how are you types, but I love playing the old ladies. And like the little kids and stuff. Oh, it's so fun. I like doing those voices way more because why not? Those are the kind of characters I'm never going to get cast in live action.
Right.
I'm never going to play a 6-year-old child or a 80-year-old woman. Not yet, anyway.
Right.
Well,
So
what they can do with makeup and prosthetics.
that is true. You're not wrong. You're not wrong. Yeah.
You're a tremendous voice actor, but you're
Thank
also
you.
a tremendous performer. We saw your show.
Thank you.
And
Thank you so much.
Yeah, listeners, if you haven't seen Bonnie Gordon's live show, you got to see it on.
Thank you.
Cruise.
Oh, see, I've been trying to get on that cruise for years, and they still haven't let me on yet.
What?
And I don't want to stow away. I want to get on there officially. So
No, they
hopefully
need to-
next year.
They need to invite you and feature you. I mean,
Thank you. Well, if whenever they send out those surveys saying who would you like to see on the cruise, just be like Bonnie Gordon's music act.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah, because I do so much Star Trek music.
Do you have favorite artists or like Broadway shows? That
Oh
you
my gosh! Oh, that's
inspire?
you're opening up a can of worms. I love the old. I love singing old jazz and blues. That's my favorite style to sing. It feels the best on my voice. So again, I've always loved the Sinatra, Peggy Lee, Doris Day. I love the rock stuff. I love Queen. I love Meatloaf. I love all of that. I love the good 80s, 90s. I'm not, the modern music today, I don't really listen to. I will say I'm a big admirer of people like Taylor Swift and Chappell Roan because they're, even though I don't really listen to their music, I admire their performance integrity. I admire the way that they voice their opinion, even if I don't agree with some of their opinions or some of their, ways they handle things. They always stay true to themselves, and they are true performers. Like they put on a show. And watching clips of them perform, I'm exhausted, and I'm sitting there on my butt on the couch. I'm like, how are they doing this? So I really admire their integrity and their, how they want to inspire young women and also stand up for like the LGBT communities. That's all how I want to be. I'm very anti-bully. I'm very like pro LGBTQIA, and also I just feel like people are people and love is love, and I hate all the I hate all the, what's the word I'm looking for? The negativity that comes with being different. If that makes sense. Especially if no one's hurting one another. You know, if they're just trying to be true to themselves and, you know, they're not hurting anyone. They're just, you know, living their life and their truth. And, you know, when you get the negative hate coming from all sides and making it us versus them, it's like, what is the point of that? It makes no sense to me. And that's why I love Star Trek so much too, because that's all about what, you know, Starfleet and the Federation was about, was it striving. I mean, they were not perfect. And
yeah, but they worked at moving forward with that.
exactly. It was a place of diplomacy and, you know, different races and species and religions and ways of life and sexuality and gender all working together for just common goals of exploration and learning. It's like, this is beautiful. Why can't we have this? Oh gosh, please. Hopefully we don't have to go through World War III to get there, but anyway, I don't want to get political on your podcast, but that's just kind of how I'm feeling right now, where I see so much hate, and it hurts because I have so many friends really hurting right now, and it also comes with, you know, people with disability having to navigate the world where that's not built for them. And, you know, if we can just be a little bit more understanding and more accommodating, I think the world would be a better place. Yeah, that's my opinion, and I'm sticking to it. Whatever side of you on politically, like keeping politics aside, just be kind to one another. You know, try and find common ground. We used to all be able to sit down at a dinner table and find common ground and find common things that we can talk about, and now it's just turns into all out screaming matches, and it's scary to see. Yeah.
We're way too polarized.
Exactly. We need to find that common place of, you know what, I don't agree with you, but I can respect you, and let's move past this. And it's really hard to do that right now with the hate that's coming out in certain areas. Anyway, let's move on to another question. Gee golly.
When I had a chance to speak with you a couple of years ago,
Yeah.
you said that.
Ooh,
That was a balloon.
that was a balloon
Yeah.
popping.
No one got shot.
Yeah.
Yeah. No one was harmed.
No one was harmed in the recording of this podcast.
You talked about this project, Manhattan Transfer.
Oh yeah.
Any news on Manhattan Transfer?
So it's still it's still on. It's still happening as far as I know. It is slower getting there. I mean, we had, you know, they launched it during the pandemic. They're trying to crowdfund it. Now everyone's, you know, going through things like all the strikes that happened, all the different things that's happening with the industry. It just kind of got pushed back further and further. But you can go, I think is it like manhattantransfer.tv. You can look up the progress of what's happening. They're trying to crowdfund for the pilot, and it's a sci-fi series that they're trying to launch, where it's based off of a book series of a novel, a sci-fi novel called Manhattan Transfer, and it's where the entire city of Manhattan gets abducted by aliens, which is insane to think about. But it's how does this city, who is now completely taken away from everything they know and basically living in like a dome, almost like a zoo, like the aliens keep cities as zoos. Like, so there's all these different alien cities that you can see, but they have no contact with, but they're all in a dome. And it's the city of Manhattan. So you have all these different walks of life, all these different personalities of millions trying to keep the peace, trying to, does all hell break loose? Who keeps the law? Who makes sure everything's still working? Who keeps the peace? It's one of those things where that long-standing what's the word I'm looking for? That long-standing idea of horror and like post-apocalyptic, where, you know, you have like the zombie apocalypse, but who are the real monsters? It's the people that are surviving that end up turning into the real villains in the end. And so now, but also when the worst of humanity comes out, so does the best. So it follows all these different personalities and all these different storylines of how everyone is reacting and surviving in this. And I play the character of Joy, who's kind of like a shock jock, like stirring the pot. Yeah, exactly. Like the DJ shock jock of of Manhattan, of like this young, spunky, weird, controversial voice out there that is now having to kind of see the world completely different from what she was spewing. And it's very opposite of, you know, how with me, I'm always like, yeah, like tell me what you believe. Let's but this character is very much like no nonsense, stirring the pot drama. But it's going to be a lot of fun to play, which I thought it was very funny that they cast the voiceover actress to be the radio girl, which I was like, hey, I have a voice for radio. Let's go. But it's an amazing cast. Casper Van Dien is our lead in it. We have Tim Russ in it as well. Dominic Keaton, John Billingsley. We have like it's just a Walter from the original series. We have Chekhov. You know, when I say it's like the mecca of sci-fi actors coming together to make this series, you're basically going to see some of your favorite actors from your favorite sci-fi series all in one place. And so I think, the Doug Jones is in it. I mean, come on.
Yeah.
Who doesn't love Doug Jones?
Everybody loves it.
So I'm really thrilled to be able to be included in this project, and I really hope it does happen. So go look it up. We're trying to shoot the pilot. The novel's really good. I read the novel, and I was like, okay.
And we are back, and we're going to wrap up the show with a little bit of dessert, and that is what's kind of going on in our own sci-fi world. We've been geeking out about some of the things we've been doing and some of the reviews and stuff, but what are we doing, you know, sci-fi wise? So Dave, why don't you start us off? Go put you in the hot seat here. What's going on science fiction in your world?
Oh boy, oh boy, oh boy. Science fiction wise, not really that much, if I'm gonna be honest. More the whole general nerd culture thing here a little bit more. If you guys are into video games, things like that, Sid Meier's Civilization 7 just dropped not that long ago, and I've been playing that since the day it dropped pretty well. In fact,
Are you enjoying it?
I am. And this is one of those games. You ever play it before?
No, I mean the closest thing, like, is it kind of like Age of Empires type stuff?
Yeah, in a sense. You're building your civilization out through different age period stuff. It's been a bit goofy. Like, so I got a while back. I ended up buying a PlayStation Portal, which is PlayStation's little streaming device that you can remotely play like a PS5 on this, in your hand.
Right.
And I got this thing, and we got a dog back in the summertime, and the freaking mutt's a handful. And it became a problem in our house with me coming upstairs and sitting in front of my PlayStation here and playing all night long, and leaving my wife down to deal with the dog by herself. So I said, okay, here's a compromise. I get this. I can sit down there, play, and I'm right there that I can help. Right. Okay, great.
Way to go, Dave. Way to go.
Way to go. Man of compromise. Play this thing through, and I actually sat down after dinner tonight and fired the thing up and started playing, and Miles sent a message through the diner's little chat here, and I'm like, oh crap, that's right, I'm recording tonight. I gotta turn this off. Run upstairs. That's been one of that. I mean, that's been a big thing here lately for me. I haven't watched anything new. If you guys ever play tabletop games, Star Trek Ascendancy has they actually just launched it now finally on GameFound.com. It's like these Kickstarter things for games. They launched a big special edition version of this game with 3 new factions into it, a bunch of different features and add-ons into the game, and they just dropped their whole thing now where you can pledge into it, and it'll come out in April of next year. It'll ship to you.
Very good. And you put your money in already?
Not yet, because I'm still looking at this now because there are different versions. I can spend a lot less money that is very much more palatable and get everything new that they put out in this thing and not have to buy the entire set again.
Got it.
So I went, oh, okay, since I already own everything that's out there to date.
Right.
Like, this could be good. So that's out there now if anybody's interested in playing that game. It's a great game. We play it frequently at game nights.
Right.
It's a time suck, but it's
totally a time
It can be a lot of fun.
Let's have a time suck when you're playing with a smaller crew, as we discovered. We played it with like 7 or 8 people, and I think we got through like 5 rounds. It was in like 4 hours. It was tough. But,
it was a lot. It was a lot.
Yeah.
But yeah. I mean, I'm still rewatching the same old stuff that I've normally been rewatching. Work keeps me pretty busy to really dive into much of anything else new, unfortunately.
Yeah. All right. Miles, how about you? What's going on in your science fiction world?
So, as far as sci-fi, I got to experience some good sci-fi at Farpoint. Just, people we've met, people we've reconnected with. The con is always a good place to get some good sci-fi. Some of the panels. I'm reading a novel by Jackson Chance. It's the Pale Rider series. Another book came out of that. So it's alternate time travel history. Reading that. I just finished reading a Star Trek novel called Asylum by Una McCormick. As far as new sci-fi, I'm in a similar situation with Dave. I think there's been kind of a drought, and with new sci-fi, and I guess a lot of that has to do with we had the writer strike, we had the actor strike, and maybe I think I'm toying with the idea of maybe trying Apple TV, because there's some shows on there that appeal to me.
Like what?
I need. What's that one that it's an alternate history for all mankind?
Oh yeah.
It's a Ron D. Moore production. There's another one called Dark Matter, not the one that the Sci-Fi Channel put out a few years ago, but that looks interesting. So maybe I'll take out a month of Apple TV, and because as far as new sci-fi, I don't know. Like I said, it just seems to be a drought of it. What I have been doing though is I've been doing a Stargate Atlantis rewatch and enjoying the heck out of that. That was such a good show, and making me think, man, if Star Trek could come back on the air, then Stargate could too. And just thinking about ways they could do that. I won't even that abomination, that mini series that came out a few years ago, Stargate Origins. That was just awful.
That was definitely like fan fiction. That was for sure.
It's
Paramount put that out.
Yeah, apparently.
Did Paramount? I thought.
No,
okay.
I'm just kidding.
No,
I'm sure it was MGM.
Oh, okay. I thought that was MGM.
It is MGM. MGM put that out.
Amazon owns the rights to Stargate now, from what I understand. So
okay,
they could put out a new Stargate show and do it right if they wanted to.
We could.
I think they would have to do it like either 50 or 100 years into the future. But I think there's a way to, if you want to use some of the cast members, we'll say the legacy cast members from the past shows. I think there's a way to do it without, you could either keep them in a they could either got locked up in stasis or stuck in a Wraith transporter
or something like that.
Something like that. If you want to bring them back to be on the show, but yeah, I would like to see Stargate come back in some form, but they have to do it right. I mean, I was trying to see, is there any, Andor's coming back in a couple months, which I'm looking forward to. We don't know when Strange New Worlds is coming back, so as far as the stuff we have been watching, There's just nothing out there right now.
Right.
So it's been a drought of as far as what I've been watching lately, as far as the newer stuff or current stuff.
Yeah.
There just isn't much available at the moment.
Yeah, we were talking about that at Farpoint, Miles, that I'm just not watching much in the way of new science fiction. There's one exception to that, and I'll talk about that in a second. But I've been reading, of course, on our Heritage series. I'm in book 8 of that. That's a military science fiction series by David Weber. The Honorverse is sometimes called, and I'm continuing to enjoy it. And there's times I can't put the book down. I just want to keep reading it, and so that's it. I got really excited, Dave, when I got to. I realized someone shared this. I didn't realize that there was an animated Heir to the Empire movie.
What?
And an hour. It's like an hour and a half long. It's 2 parts. So I was really excited about this on YouTube. Just look up Timothy Zahn, Heir to the Empire, and it's there. But it's all CGI, and it's a fan film, right? It's a fan film. And the animations was okay. It was not good enough for, I don't know why it's not working here. The animation was bad enough that it kept me from finishing it. But maybe worth trying if you're a huge fan of it, because I thought, Heir to the Empire, here's the thing I've always wanted. And it's been so long since I've read the original novels that perhaps if I would go back and reread it and then watch this, I would connect with it a little bit more. But well worth checking out, Dave, if you want to sink some time. But there's part 1 and a part 2 of it. And the first one got like over a million and some views. And then the other one got like 700,000 views, but a lot of views on it.
Okay.
So people are just passionate about it. Perhaps
hint, Disney.
Yeah, I mean, come on. So the other thing that I do have to talk about, I'm actually going to bring in Kiefer to talk about it because one of the things that we began, another reason to get Apple TV is we began to watch the show Severance. Just wait a second. And it's a show produced by Ben Stiller, but it's not the silly Ben Stiller that you often see, and he's not in it. He's only director. This is a very serious mystery that you have no clue what's going on, and every single episode reveals a little bit more of the layer of the onion. And we just finished season 1. There's 2 seasons out. Kiefer really likes to talk about it, so I'm going to put him on, all right? So step over here.
Oh, boy.
Hey, nerd. It's your token guy that sits in the corner of the room all the way over there, listening to this man to rant about stuff randomly. I only hear his side of the conversation, but the minute we were starting sci-fi stuff we liked, I heard Severance, and I took off my headphones, and I stared at him across the room for literally, 20 minutes straight.
That's why he's laughing over there.
Yeah. So, this is amazing. This show is amazing. It's the way it's shot is really interesting. Like the way that the camera work is done is just the way they use negative space, because you have shots where you'll have the characters on one side. I don't want to reveal too much because it's really, really good, but you have the characters on one side of the screen, and then you have all this empty space here, which is an interesting choice of design to make, because you don't normally do that in films. You want to fill up the space as much as you can to keep the viewer's attention, but it's more of a slow thing. The first episode literally starts with the main character walking through the hallways for 5 minutes straight. It's just one of those pieces of art that you gotta see, you gotta watch it. Please watch it. I need more people to talk to about this.
It does add to the sense of mystery to it. These long, narrow hallways, this whiteness, and you really don't know what's going on at first, and the characters don't either, which is kind of the point of the story a little bit. Can I get it a little bit?
Yeah. Oh wait, one more thing.
Okay, go ahead.
You did not bring me on. I stared at you for 20 minutes until you acknowledged my existence, and then I hopped on myself while standing over there for 3 other minutes.
All right, go ahead.
That's it. That's all I wanted to say. I mean, I have one other thing, and it's you should watch it. It's really good. Again, it's very much psychological horror, if you will. it kind of messes with you a little bit. A psychological thriller, I think.
Yeah, I don't know.
Because it's almost horror. There are moments in it that are horrific. Like there's a lot of like the way it does. Like there is some gore bits in it, but the way it does it is very interesting because it does it in a way where it doesn't fully show you everything, but also lets you see enough where you know that they could really show you everything if they wanted to. And it's very well done. It's very well done.
Cool.
Brain surgery part we had to skip over though.
Hey, Kiefer,
Oh, yo, what's up?
get a haircut.
Yeah, you too, buddy. You too. You should also get a haircut. Oh, wait. You can't.
Kiefer absolutely hates the show. I have to make him sit there. I have to make him sit there and watch him. Like, can't we do something as father and son? I'm like, can't we do something as father and son? And he goes, if you make me, I guess I'll watch it with you. So, all right. Well, with that, we should probably take it out of the show. Miles, why don't you go ahead and wrap it up for us here?
All right, till next time, good night and good luck.
We'll see ya.
And go.